Hello, my name is Jimmy, and this is the 2022 Genesis G70. The G70 is the smallest sedan in the Genesis lineup. You got this, the G70, there's a bigger G80, as well as the G90. They also make a few SUVs. There's a new electric GV60, the GV70, as well as a GV80. But this, the G70, is to compete with sports luxury sedans like the BMW 3 Series, the Mercedes C-Class, as well as the Audi A4. But, well, while this looks new, it's more of a refresh than anything else. The styling on the front and rear end and the interior has been updated, but a lot of the qualities of this vehicle stays the same as before. Updating the vehicle is nothing new for a mid-cycle refresh, but I think Genesis did a pretty good job here styling the vehicle, well, just the outer panels to make it look fresh and, well, more in line with the Genesis lineup. The headlamps here, they now have this dual tier look, and you still get the big Genesis crest in the center. It's a good look from the front end. Off to the side, as this is the sport model, we get 19-inch wheels. There's this gunmetal color, which really stands out. On the chrome pieces on the vehicle, they're also this darker chrome rather than, well, standard chrome, and just makes the car a little bit more sporty. We saw this on the previous G70 as well, and I loved it there, and I'm very happy that it's exactly the same as before. We get vents on the front fender here, smooth body lines, and on the back, updated taillights here. And down below, we get some faux exhaust. Overall, the G70 is a really good looking vehicle. There's really nothing bad about it. If you're looking for a full refresh, I'm sure that will come in the future. But for this mid-cycle refresh, it's still a good looking car. But let's take a quick peek inside the trunk. As with many Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis products, if you stand behind a vehicle with the key in your pocket, the trunk does automatically open, but there's also a little button right here as well, and, well, it reveals 10.7 cubic feet of space. It's definitely not a lot because, well, underneath the floor there is a spare tire, and it does take up a little bit of space. A lot of other manufacturers gives you either run flats or fix-a-flat kind of tire kits just to increase the overall trunk space, but Genesis decided to opt out for that, so slightly smaller trunk space. Let's take a look at those back seats though. All right, the back seat. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit more compact than you may like, but it is a compact sedan after all. The front seat's adjusted at my height for 5'11", and back here, I'm okay. Enough headroom, enough knee room, enough leg room. Just enough. But, I mean, the seats themselves are really soft. This Napa leather is really nice. The quilted leather on here is great. There's 3 levels of heated seat adjustments. You get an armrest with an integrated cup holder. I mean, it's fine, I would say, but if you're a little bit shorter, then you wouldn't have any problems. If you're 6 and above, well, definitely call dibs up front. But if you're looking for this G70 as like a family vehicle, I do have a separate video linked up here, where I put in a Kleck Ling, an infant seat, as well as a Kleck Fünf, which is a convertible in rear facing, just so that you can see exactly how much space there is inside this vehicle for your family's needs. But, I mean, yes, it can be a family vehicle, it's tight, but let's be honest. The most important seats are the ones in front here, so let's go take a look at that. Front seats. Front seats is definitely where this Genesis G70 shines. Up here, it just feels, well, much better than the back. It really does. The seats are super comfortable. The Napa leather is nice and soft. I love the quilting that's on here. The red stitching, just, it stands out. It's a really, really nice place to be. The seats themselves are heated, they're cooled. No, there's no massaging features. It's not that type of vehicle. For this week, Vancouver's been all over the place. So the heated seats and the heated steering wheel, along with the cooled seats, I use them all, and every single part of it works great. Really, no problems there. The steering wheel is pretty typical Genesis steering wheel here, nothing to complain about. It's not a massive chonking steering wheel like some BMWs these days. This is still relatively thinner. You do get sports grips up top, so I mean, it's still a good use of the wheel itself. Behind, I got a partial digital and analog cluster. It's the same as the base model G80 that I recently reviewed. It's fine, I don't have any problems with it. But the thing is, I know Genesis can do better than this. I know in other markets, you can get a full digital cluster. So I don't exactly know why they gave us this partial. I mean, it still works, but it just doesn't look as good, especially when you're comparing to, well, all the new Mercedes, Audis, as well as BMW have a full digital instrument cluster. It just looks, well, newer. There is a heads-up display that works well. There's your speed limit, radar-guided cruise control information about blind spot, as well as media controls. As for the infotainment, I mean, it works well. It's a big 10.25-inch screen. It has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XMs, sounds of nature if you like that. It's a pretty full-featured infotainment. The menu system is pretty easy to use. Full touchscreen here, no fiddly knobs to work with. The only thing is there's no wireless connectivity for your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. I'm sure sooner or later there's going to be an update, but until then, you do have to plug it into one of the 3 USB ports that's in this vehicle. And they're all standard USB-A, no USB-C options here. There is a row of physical buttons right below for your maps and navigation information, dedicated volume and tuning knob, I do like that, and a very easy and simple to use climate control system with 3 rotary knobs to control temperature as well as fans. Overall, the interior of the G70 is quite nice. You got lots of stitching everywhere. It stands out across the dash, on the top, the seats, in the center console. It's everywhere. It's really, really nice. But that's just the glamour of it. It hides the fact that this is an older version of the Genesis and Hyundai and Kia product. And you see that in some places. Like the turn signal stocks, yeah, this is definitely an older version. The newer stuff, well, it looks better than this. I mean, it's not like it's a bad thing, but I'm just waiting for that refresh, I guess, for the entire brand new G70 to be just a little bit better than the competition. But let's go for a drive because they have enhanced one item on the G70, which I'm very excited for. All right, on the road with the G70. That said, there's really one change to the entire vehicle in terms of the powertrain, at least a little bit. I mean, it doesn't really mess with the powertrain. Anyways, it's the valved exhaust. So in sport mode, you can't like press a button to activate it. You have to be in sport mode to activate it. There's a valve in the exhaust that makes the exhaust just a little bit louder because the G70, well, it's a pretty quiet vehicle. It doesn't give you that whole burble thing that like a C43 or M340 might give you. Actually, even with the sport exhaust, it's a more traditional exhaust note. It gives you a smooth V6 sound. Rather than, well, the burbles of the C43 AMG or the crackles of the M340. It's quite different how the exhaust sounds in this. In my opinion, it sounds good, but I don't think that's what people are looking for. There's a lot of people that are looking for that crackle tune or the crackles and pops that you get when you lift off the throttle or, you know, when you're in the higher RPM range on a lot of those other vehicles. But this, it's more traditional, and I think it sounds good in a traditional sense. Anyways, underneath that hood is a 3.3 liter twin turbo V6. It makes 365 horsepower and 376 pound-feet of torque. It's more than enough, to be honest. If you think that, hey, maybe I should get something a little bit more efficient, well, you can still get a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder as well. That gets you 252 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. But with this motor, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, about 4.5 seconds, which is plenty quick. I mean, it's more than quick enough for a family sedan or a compact sports sedan like this. And there's a lot more to it. I mean, handling is nothing without control. I always say that. There's a lot of people that say that. And the control of it is good because it has dynamic dampers. At least with this sport trim, it has the dynamic dampers. So when you turn it into sport, it does firm up the ride a little bit. It accentuates the steering feel. Everything just feels a little bit tighter. And you can go to Sport Plus for, well, that next level. But the biggest problem I have with it is when you're in Sport Plus, you can use the paddle shifters. That's fine. But when you come to a full stop, it goes back into drive to full-on automatic mode. It's just a little weird. It doesn't let you just have a full manual driving experience. It just defaults back to automatic. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's fine. It shifts okay. I mean, it's sometimes better than you shifting it. Sometimes, but not all the time. Honestly, though, I think the overall driving experience of the G70 is a lot more relaxed than the AMG or M Performance counterparts. I'm not talking about the full C63. I'm comparing this more to the C43. But if we were to compare to the C43 and the M340, there's one thing that stands out on this: pricing. It's a lot less than the AMG or the M Performance, because the spec here is 59,000 Canadian dollars. If we compare it to the M340, the base model of that starts at $65,800. And the C43, that starts at over $60,000. So if we compare this to the German rivals, it's definitely a whole lot better in terms of pricing. But if we compare it to the Japanese rivals, the TLX, as well as the Lexus IS, it's definitely a whole lot closer. But in my opinion, if pricing is a factor, what you should be looking at is the Kia Stinger. The Stinger is basically the same thing. It's just a little bit longer, which gives you more practicality, not only in the rear seats, but also the trunk space. It's, well, a hatchback as well, so you can store more inside. Sure, the nameplate isn't as good as Genesis, but even if it is a Genesis, you're explaining to people what a Genesis is. So you gotta factor that in as well. But here's the thing. The Genesis does give you some luxury vibes. The interior, I would say this interior is better than the Stinger. Although a lot of things are very similar, the plush materials and the soft leather, it definitely is a step above than the Stinger. But there's also other things, like the after-purchase support. With a Genesis vehicle, at least here in Canada, for the first 5 years, if your vehicle needs to be serviced or maintained or anything like that, you call up Genesis and they can drop off a car and pick up your vehicle and do whatever they need and return your vehicle. And the 5-year, like the scheduled maintenance, it's included within the price of the vehicle. And that's definitely something to consider. If you're busy, if you're, the type of person that's always around and always on the go, you may not have a chance to bring your vehicle in for service. Genesis, they will give you a Genesis vehicle. And on the brochure, they say that they'll give you the same vehicle or better. So if you have a G80, it's going to be the G80, the GV80, or the G90. They won't give you a G70. They won't give you a Hyundai. They have to give you something equivalent or better. I mean, my friend has a BMW 7 Series. When he took it into the local BMW dealership, well, they got him a rental little 3 Series. It was a $100,000 7 Series that he brought in, and he got 3 Series out of it. I mean, that's something that Genesis can offer, BMW, Mercedes just cannot. And that's definitely a deciding factor as well. In any case, let me know what your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you like the G70? I think it's a great car. It handles well. It's a good all-around vehicle. For me, I would pick the Stinger just because of that price point. But hey, if you want something a little bit more luxurious, certainly take it into consideration. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you later.